Good morning, class. For this particular lesson's review, I don't have a lot of extra content to bring you because chapter 2 is a lot of problem solving and looking at different sets, and the review activity is more of kind of the same. And so I'm not going to have too many examples for you, but I am going to have for you some of the key features. So I'm going to go through each of these key features with you just so you're recalling, but you might be just as good rewatching the lesson and working through some of the odd problems as you're solving your chapter review assignments. But here are the different sections. So in section 2.1, we're looking at set concepts, just being aware of these different concepts that we learned about. Set A is equal to set B. We put an equal sign, obviously. You've seen those before. Contain the exact same elements. Doesn't really matter the order. A couple of you on your quiz said that a response was false because the order was different, but the order doesn't really matter. Cardinal number of set A is symbolized by this N and then A in parentheses. It's the number of elements in set A. Set A is equivalent to set B if and only if the cardinal number of set A is equal to the cardinal number of set B. Set that contains no element, we call this the empty set or the null set, and it's symbolized by empty braces or the null symbol. And lastly, the universal set is symbolized by the letter U. It's a set that contains all elements for any specific discussion. As we get into the Venn diagram part, remember the universal set is what goes inside of the box. So that's it for 1. Let's move on to 2. In set 2, subsets. So we have a set of elements, and then within that set we might have some subsets. So this is the symbol for subset. A is a subset of B if and only if all the elements of set A are also elements of set B. A is a proper subset, and this is the symbol for proper subset. If A is a proper subset of B if and only if all the elements of set A are elements of set B and set A is not equal to set B. That is, set B must contain at least one element that's not found in set A. And lastly, the number of distinct subsets. So when we characterize how many, this is kind of like if you had gone to Wendy's and there's 8 different things that you could order on your burger. How many different combinations can you have? Well, that's going to be 2 to the power of however many things you have that you can put on there. Okay, so that's 2.2. Let's move on to 2.3. For 2.3, we got into some Venn diagrams. These are just the basic 2-circle Venn diagram from we talked about there being the universal set around the outside. And we have A and we have B, and you looked at different ways to categorize these. So we talk about a complement. Complement of set A is symbolized by A with this little apostrophe. It's the things in the universal set that are not part of set A. And so it would pretty much be everything except for set A. If I were to shade this, it would be like all the stuff except for set A. Intersection, this is the place where these two sets intersect. So that would be, if I use blue here, this is the intersection. This is where they're actually going to intersect. We say and, so it's got to be in A and B. Union of sets A and B, symbolized by A union B, is containing elements that are members of set A or of set B or of both sets. So that's seen as the or feature, and that's going to be like all of this plus all of this. So that would be like a full shade. And then lastly, for finite sets, the cardinal number of A union B is equal to the cardinal number of A plus the cardinal number of B minus the intersection of A and B. All right, so that's 3. Then we get into 4, and now we've got actually the 3-circle, 3-set Venn diagram. And we talked a little bit about the timing, like when you figure stuff out. So you figure out this number first, like in the write-ups, it's going to say there are all 3 of them have this particular number. So that's the first step. And the second step you're going to do is you're going to calculate each of these little footballs out. So you do this little football, and then you figure out this little football, and then you figure out this little football. And then the third step, you're going to calculate out what's left here, what's left here, and what's left here. And then lastly, you figure out what's not included in all of it. So that's how we solve those. It's kind of a process of elimination. We also talked a bit about De Morgan's law, which you can see red right here. Okay, to 5, again, we're looking at application of sets. So this really was just kind of working through problems. So basically, just remember what you learned in chapter 1. Understand the problem. Got to read it, understand it. Figure out what it's looking for, what's the plan, carry that plan out, and then make sure you go back and check your results. And means intersection, or means union, not means complement. Well, last but not least, 2.6, the infinite sets. An infinite set is a set that can be placed in a one-to-one correspondence with a proper subset of itself. So we talked about, within our set setup, 1, 2, 3, ... n. We're trying to figure out the n value down here. And so if we have like 2, 4, 6, ... you see that this is just going to be 2n. So these are the ways in which to show correspondence between these two. So as we work through this, make sure that you kind of watch and track how you do these infinite sets. And then lastly, this Aleph null. I think I'm saying it right. Aleph null. This is the Hebrew first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Aleph null is countable. In any set that we have one-to-one correspondence, it's going to have that cardinality of Aleph null. Okay, so that is a review of the lessons. Again, not a whole lot of extra special stuff to put in here. You guys are welcome to review and rewatch the videos and reread the text and work through some of the odds. Here are the symbols. Feel free to take a screenshot of this if you like. The symbols are all the things that we talked about in chapter 1. We looked at elements and not an element. And then we looked at chapter 2 here, all these set symbols. We'll see these periodically as we move. And that's it. So here's your assignment. Chapter 2 review. Again, it's due on Tuesday, or whatever day it might be. If you're watching this in the future, this is made in 2023. But anyways, here's our chapter review assignment, pages 78 and 79. And they really are just kind of snippets of each of these different previous sections. So we're doing 2 through 48 even. Make sure that if you're writing true or false, you tell why you put true or false. Make sure if it asks you to make a diagram, you actually make your diagram. Might be a 2-circle or a 2-set or a 3-set diagram. Include written responses. And then we are circling our final answers so that our partners can find them more readily. So if you have any questions regarding the assignment, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you in class.